Welcome back to another podcast. After a week hiatus, we're back, and we're back over 500. We got those pickaxes out, and we're out of the hole we dug. How you doing, Deuce?
I'm good. I think that little weekend we had together, we needed a break from the pod afterwards, just from the action. But that little regroup we had obviously did wonders.
As you said on Sunday, if you leave the cheese out, the rats are going to eat.
It's inevitable. It was just bound to happen.
I think it's ironic that when we placed the bet on the Cubs in the NLCS to win the series, everything turned around.
You're right. I didn't even think about that. I forgot that we'd even had that as one of our official plays, or two official plays. So even better. We're just putting sprinkles on top for everybody.
I loved that we talked about hedging last night, and you made the final decision to let it go.
Yeah, we talked it out. I actually did like the Indians. I thought they were better set up pitching-wise for a game like that. But in the end, sometimes you just got to take the train that you hopped on first.
Just as an aside before we get into business, how fantastic was Game 7 and how fantastic was the series overall?
Admittedly, I am not a huge baseball guy. I'll watch a few games during the season. I watched 95% of this series. It's probably one of the best series that I've ever watched.
Completely agree. Thought the rain delay added to the drama last night.
Yeah.
I know that you, after Game 6, when Chapman came in, you thought that was trouble as soon as Madden brought him in. And Madden certainly wanted to see his arm fall off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Madden has him up in the pen right now, getting ready for next year. He second guessed a lot of decisions, but that's what made the series great, was the strategic battle between him and Terry. I don't think Madden had that good of a series managing. He won, so I can't really say anything. But if they had lost, I think he would have been getting killed today.
Yeah, I think what killed him was taking Hendricks out so early. He was cruising, and then he was forced to use Chapman as early as he did.
Yeah, and I don't know if people were noticing, but Chapman's maybe the hardest thrower in the bigs. He could barely get his fastball above 86, 87 towards the end of last night. So 20 miles an hour off of your one pitch, basically, is a lot.
Yeah, Rajay Davis hit an absolute bullet. I'm surprised that it didn't break the camera.
Yeah, that was a laser.
How great was A-Rod and John Smoltz?
The whole, I bash Fox for their golf coverage, and a lot of the time their football coverage. I think you can make an argument that crew, the whole shebang, might be the best crew for their sport that there is. A-Rod is phenomenal. I know he's a phony, whatever. He is just an encyclopedia of knowledge. So is John Smoltz. Joe Buck seems like he's more comfortable with baseball. I thought they were great.
Completely agree. I would pay to buy a channel where A-Rod and Pete Rose just broke down games every night. I thought they were incredible.
There's stuff that I had never even thought about that was coming out of both of their mouths. It was shocking how deep into the game that both of them can go.
A couple other things quickly. I found last night, especially during the rain delay, Twitter is the perfect tool for baseball games. You can follow along as in between pitches. The rain delay, the Twitter kept me awake. It was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I was going to lose myself there with the rain delay. I was already fighting it. My head started to bounce off the shoulder a little bit, but once you start scrolling through Twitter, there's so many different things, especially in-game like that it just keeps your attention.
In baseball, so many crazy things can happen. Do you think the Cubs win that game if the rain delay doesn't come?
I hadn't really thought of that. It was pretty short, so I think yes. Yeah, I think so. I still think they would have won. I think it was just inevitable before they were going to keep getting hit.
And then the other thing, the videos that are being posted of the older people who are Cubs fans give me the chills every time I watch one, who obviously have never seen the Cubs in a World Series or on the last stage of their lives. Unbelievable.
Sports. That's what it does.
I
Best
told
part of sports right there.
told you before we started recording that after Sunday night with the Eagles' devastating loss, I couldn't do a podcast till later this week. And last night was just unbelievable. And as you just said, sports always delivers.
And it does. It doesn't matter really what's going on. Obviously, it crushes you sometimes, but I think it gives you perspective still.
108 years, 68 years, the 3-1 with Cleveland, go winning and losing. You can't write scripts like this.
Yeah, there's so much symmetry. LeBron in the stands trying to will Cleveland to another one, but I think this was I'm not a big believer in it, but I think this one was just meant to be.
Well, that concludes baseball for us for the year. Going out on a winning note. Congrats to Chicago Cubs fans everywhere. Hopefully it's not another 108.
Yeah.
To college football, where we really have some momentum going. 4-0 last weekend. Want to give a quick shout out to Davey Trump, who's taking a break from his cousin's campaign. He messaged me 3 winners last week. Loved Michigan State, loved Northwestern, and loved the Raiders. We did do the teaser with Northwestern and Michigan State, but I couldn't get on board with the Raiders, but he was 3-0. Hasn't messaged me this week yet, but I wanted to give him a shout out in the midst of a busy season with his cousin Donald Trump.
I like that. Big day for him next Tuesday, so maybe he's holding off on the winners for the following weeks.
Well, let's get right into it. It was talked about early season, probably the biggest game of the year. Alabama -7.5 going to LSU. Your thoughts?
When the line first came out, my first thought was it's too low. Just kind of like the same thing with the A&M Bama line a couple weeks ago, where it was almost obviously too high. This one seems obviously too low. I keep flipping back and forth, but my gut wants me to take LSU in a close game. I don't know if they can win, though. I don't think Danny Etling can throw the ball effectively enough to really get that Bama defensive line guessing. I would assume they're going to have the same game plan they did last year, stack the box and let somebody else besides Fournette beat them. But I think LSU is good enough on defense where they can keep this game pretty close. We'll see, but I'd lean to LSU with that hook.
The last couple meetings in LSU, this dates back to 08, the magazine I'm looking at. LSU 6-point win in 08. In 10, 3-point loss. In 12, 4-point win. In 14, a 7-point win. So all the games in Death Valley have been close. I think the hook is big here. The one concern I do have, as you hit on, and it's always with LSU, is the quarterback. I think Alabama's obviously going to take Fournette out of this game, or at least control him. Can Etling make enough plays?
Yeah, totally agree. Fournette, there's got to be a little bit of a revenge factor. I would think he got totally stuffed last year. You know, he's got one foot in the NFL door, but I would think this is his last opportunity to really, make a statement in college football. So wouldn't shock me if he had a sneaky okay game relative to the matchup here. But, yeah, I think Bama's going to win the game. I like LSU to cover, though.
LSU seems to have right the ship with Orgeron. They're certainly playing harder. Their last 2 games were Southern Miss and Mississippi. Is that enough for you to believe in LSU with Orgeron?
Well, I kind of have a personal bias against Orgeron. I can't stand the guy. I think he's a bag of air. He said something earlier this week. Someone asked him about his chances of keeping the job, and he said Pete Carroll didn't really figure out what kind of coach he was until his 3rd job, and this is my 3rd job. It's like, all right, dude, you're comparing yourself to Pete Carroll now. So I'm not a big Ed Orgeron fan. I think this is more of a Death Valley at night rivalry situation for me, more than it is LSU righting the ship.
So we both lean LSU plus the 7.5.
Yeah, I am borderline making it official.
We can hold
See
off.
what else we get to. How about that?
I agree.
See what else we agree on, because last week it was few and far between. We probably couldn't have lasted 10 minutes on a podcast last week.
Any feel on the over-under at 45?
I think I would lean slightly to the over.
I would agree, I think. Seems like most people probably recognize these defenses, but I think there's going to be some points scored.
So do I. I think the over-under line is a little bit suckery, where it's kind of like, oh, well, Alabama, LSU, defense, got to take the under. But I agree with you. I think there's going to be some weirdness happening in this game.
The only other top 25 matchup is at the Shoe. Ohio State minus 17 against Nebraska.
Oh, boy. I thought I had a handle on Ohio State. I thought they were a really good team. I thought they were going to go undefeated. Their offense is really unimpressive. I don't know what is wrong with J.T. Barrett. Urban Meyer, play calling, I don't know if he just doesn't have the weapons or what. It's a little bit baffling to me. I think they'll be okay here against Nebraska, especially at home. Nebraska's a pretty one-dimensional team. I don't think Nebraska's defense is very good. We'll never trust their quarterback, Tommy Armstrong. 17's probably too many after what I've seen from Ohio State, but I think they right the ship a little bit here.
I've watched the last 3, a lot of the Indiana games, almost 4 Ohio State games. There's 3 things I see. First, they have nobody to stretch the field at wide receiver. Secondly, we've both agreed that Tom Herman is a huge loss. I think Barrett's regressed a little bit.
Yeah.
And as much as that is said, I think that sometimes they rely too much on Barrett to make a play.
It's an interesting point, yeah. You don't really see them commit to pounding the ball. At least this year they haven't. Like they did. Even with Ezekiel Elliott, I remember conversations with you saying that he should get 20 more carries a game than he was getting.
Nebraska in a tough spot. They were at Wisconsin last week in a tough physical game.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they have left in the tank. I don't know if I can lay the 17 with Ohio State, but I do like the over 52. I think Ohio State scores a ton of points this week.
I can get in with that, yeah.
I'll mark that on the side. We'll go through the top 25 matchups that only have one top 25 team. Starts tonight. Oklahoma minus 20.5 at Iowa State.
Iowa State's pretty bad. I think we made a pact earlier this year that we're never going to back Oklahoma again. So that keeps me away. This sort of feels like that Western Michigan Ball State game to me the other night, where it's early in the week. There's a really good team going on the road against a really bad team. I don't think that number is that much, to be honest. Kind of like Oklahoma.
I would lean Oklahoma as well. Before we get any further, I meant to ask you this before we started on college. Your thoughts on the playoff first revealing of the rankings?
So I heard the guy from A&M over the head of the whole shebang is, and they seem to be putting a lot of emphasis on schedule, but first of all, I have no idea how Penn State made it to 12 or 14.
My only thought on that is it's kind of a, here you go, Ohio State. This is your
Right.
benefit.
I mean, I get that, but still. I was pretty surprised to see A&M leapfrog Washington. I know their A&M's only loss is to the best team in the country, but at some point a loss is a loss, right? It's not like Washington is, no offense to row the boat, they're not playing the schedule Western Michigan is playing and is undefeated. So, pretty surprised.
Any thoughts on this? This is Washington's out-of-conference slate. Rutgers, Idaho, Portland State.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. That's all they have to blame. I know Rutgers is a formidable opponent these days, but yeah, for me was that flip-flop. The Big 12 is basically dead, and Louisville doesn't have many opportunities to move up.
Thoughts on Oklahoma at 14? If they win out, do they have a shot?
I think they're going to need help still. Chaos is going to have to happen, I think, for them to get in.
They do have, after this Iowa State game, they'll have 3 solid opponents, Baylor, at West Virginia, Oklahoma State, to make another statement. But agree, they certainly do need help.
I mean, they're going to have teams in front of them lose no matter what. If teams do lose, then, I think they have a chance if everyone gets a loss. Because I think 2-loss Oklahoma is probably better than almost all the 1-loss teams that we were just talking about. So
they probably need Ohio State to win out.
Yeah, they need that loss to be much better. Yeah, you're right.
I think it could be interesting. Washington and Washington State went out last game of the year for the Apple Cup. Having Washington go against Washington State possibly for the playoff berth.
Yeah.
And A&M, their remaining schedule at Mississippi State this weekend. Ole Miss home next weekend. Texas San Antonio home. And concludes on a Thursday night against LSU.
Yeah, so they really only have two big games left. Ole Miss still has talent, so got to watch out for them in the LSU game. So A&M is one of those teams that I still don't believe in. So maybe
I agree.
I'm already chalking up a loss in there somewhere.
I completely agree. Back to the top 25. Colorado minus 13 versus UCLA.
Rosin out for the year. Big blow to UCLA. I love Colorado. A lot of points still. I'm having trouble disassociating the past from Colorado. A couple teams actually this year. But, at home, they're 6-2. They're playing a team whose season is basically over. I don't lean Buffalo's here.
Is there any more disappointing team than UCLA this year?
They probably have an excuse built in with the quarterback situation. He was probably one of the Heisman contenders preseason. He's been banged up all year. But no, and I think I said something about them preseason that Jim Moore Jr. was one of the most likely coaches to go.
Correct.
He stinks. That's all there is to it. He's just not a good football coach.
If they have at Colorado, Oregon State's a winnable game for them. USC will probably be favored, and at Cal's probably favorite. If they drop 2 or 3 of these 4 games, is he back next year?
That's a good question. I think so, but I think he'll be squarely on the hot seat because of that built-in excuse he had this year. I think he might get a pass. Just to show you what he's up against, going to Colorado. The Buffs at home this year, 40-point winner against Colorado State, 50-point winner against Idaho State, 40-point winner against Oregon State, 25-point winner against Arizona State. So the Buffaloes have been dominant in Boulder.
Their defense is legit for being in the Pac-12.
Defense is great.
Colorado has a great defense. They'll be facing the backup quarterback, and that game is tonight. I thought it was tomorrow. It is tonight. So
yeah.
Thursday night
really
in Boulder.
Their offense too. I think they're one of the more balanced teams, especially in the Pac-10. They can run it and throw it, and they have a good defense. So you don't see that very often on the West Coast.
I also lean Colorado here. We can tweet out later if we want to make it an official. I still got to do a little research on that.
I think they are a prime teaser candidate.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Don't have much of a feel for this, especially after Boise State loses last week. Minus 29 versus San Jose State. And I should note, we were both on Wyoming last week, which was one of our big leans.
Yeah, you would think it's a bounce back spot, but sometimes with these teams that have such high expectations, this could be a letdown spot as well. San Jose State is not very good. It's a late game, 10:15, I think, on the East. So this is one of those spots where Boise State is either going to full tent or they're going to take out their anger on San Jose State. Like you said, I'm in the same boat. I don't really know which one it is.
Saturday. The aforementioned Aggies of A&M go to Mississippi State as a 13.5-point favorite.
Mississippi State's not very good. A&M's got to keep it rolling, like we just pointed out. Probably too many points for me to lay on the road, but no way would I take the home dog here.
I am putting A&M on upset alert.
Wow! Straight up?
I am. I think Dan Mullen is going to have a couple wrinkles this week, and I think Mississippi State gives them a scare.
Wow. I will say Mississippi State has lost a few close games this year, if I remember right.
They have.
I'm not sure what they are against the number, but I would assume they've covered a few times. So maybe you're right. Maybe 13.5 isn't that bad.
Staying in the SEC, Auburn 25.5-point favorites hosting Vanderbilt.
Auburn is starting to get it going. If I was Alabama, that is the game that would worry me. That's the type of offense that can beat them. Vandy is terrible, so I expect Auburn to pull out the offense and score a bunch of points here. I actually think this number is a little short. I think they win by 30 plus.
Any concern? Last week they were at Mississippi. Next week at Georgia. Little sandwich spot.
No, Georgia stinks. Mississippi's not good anymore. Beginning of the year maybe I would have said sandwich spot, but not right now.
Agree. I'm also leaning Auburn.
They have a really good defensive line too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Louisville minus 25 at BC. Louisville survives a scare last weekend in Virginia.
Yeah, the Wahoo's starting to wake up a little bit. Boston College stinks. It's hard to back Louisville though when you see the letdown spots like that. The only way they can climb up is to beat teams by 50. So I think I lean Louisville here.
I agree. I like Louisville in this spot. I think, as you said, they're going to score a ton of points. This Boston College defense, which typically you could count on, isn't very good, and they can't score.
That's the biggest worry, is that they can't score, and you know Louisville is going to score 30 at least.
Like it enough to make it an official now.
Yeah, I'm betting off on board. That was a 24.5, I think so.
25.
25, even better.
Louisville minus 25, our first official.
I mean, I usually don't like to take huge bets like that, but we'll do this one for our board Majekas.
Wisconsin 6.5-point road dogs, and a team we've backed last couple weeks and have been good to us, the Northwestern Wildcats.
For some reason, I mean, I was kind of grew up a Georgia fan, so I lived in the SEC more so. I feel like I have a nose for the Wisconsin Badgers this year. I've backed them a bunch, been right a couple times, but I think I like Northwestern here. They're hot.
I have gone against Wisconsin every week this year. I'm continuing the trend. I do think that Northwestern offense is playing really, really good right now.
Yeah, this will be a test for Wisconsin's defense, who is way better than I thought they were going to be. I could see a low-scoring field goal type of game here.
Wisconsin's had a brutal schedule, but since September 24th, this has been their schedule. At Sparty, at Michigan, Ohio State, at Iowa, Nebraska, and now they go to Northwestern.
Yeah, that's really tough. And they played really well.
There are 0-7. The Wisconsin is 0-7, the last 7, against the spread in Northwestern.
Oh, I needed to hear if we're getting 7 and maybe even a hook. Are we getting a hook here?
They have it at 6.5 right now. I think we monitor this one. If it jumps to 7, we hop.
I would be very comfortable with a Northwestern Colorado teaser.
I will mark that.
I mean, I'm good with betting everything straight up at this point, but that felt like a tasty teaser. Crossing down through 10 and up through 7.
I could agree with that. I'll mark that to the side just in case we see something else.
All right.
North Carolina minus 10.5 versus Georgia Tech. I don't have a strong feel on this one.
Yeah, I think North Carolina will win. Georgia Tech's not very good, especially on defense, but that offense, you never know. It's kind of tricky to prepare for, so especially a North Carolina team that gives up some points, I wouldn't feel good about having the hook there.
Interesting article I read is Georgia Tech is buried in debt, and Paul Johnson may be let go at the end of this year.
What are they spending their money on?
I have no clue. It didn't get into details. Just that he's owed $6 million. I believe Georgia Tech's 5-3 right now.
Johnson makes $6 million?
He's making $6 million this year.
Holy moly!
I guess that may be part of the reason they're in debt.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest issue. The kids, they would rather build an erector set to go to a football game.
Yeah, they got at North Carolina this week, at Va Tech, Virginia at home, at Georgia. 5-3 right now. They could be staring at 5-7, really, and you're paying.
Yeah, they might miss out on a bowl game.
Yeah, so there's an interesting name. Paul Johnson may be available.
I would not want him at all.
The Turtles on the road, 31-point dogs at Michigan.
Oh man, this is going to be a fun one to watch. The Terps haven't been that bad when they have their quarterback playing, Perry. Here's my issue with this game. I know it's so many points, but I think Maryland will be able to score 17 to 24 points. Their defensive line is so soft and bad, though, that Michigan's offensive line might give 10 yards to their running backs before they even get touched. If Michigan controls the clock, I would be worried about taking the dog here. I know you're probably going to be on the Turtles. I can already feel it. But I'm not on that side. I am almost on the Michigan side here.
I don't have a feel. I don't like Maryland on the road. I think Harbaugh doesn't really care what the time or the score is. He just plays hard.
I know.
I could never back Maryland in this spot.
Michigan is so physical. Now, they're not explosive, so, 31's a lot, I think, for that offense. That's pretty one-dimensional. But Maryland is turnover prone, and their defense is horrific, which would scare me if I was taking plus 31 here.
Interesting line here. Our Fighting Bill Snyders are -3 hosting the ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Love the Fighting Snyders here. The line I don't even need to talk about the game. The line smells, and that's all you need to know.
I'm also on the Fighting Snyders. All I needed to do was look at the line. It seems the Snyders win one game every year like this, and I think this is it.
I haven't even looked at that matchup. You sent me the line, and I thought you put it on the wrong side, so I went to Insider and checked, and lo and behold, that was the real line, and I just circled Bill Snyder.
Official?
Yeah.
Kansas State -3. Here's another tasty one that we usually hop on. Clemson -27 hosting our Orange.
I love that we're back on this orange wagon. And since our boy Trump is moving up to Utica, he might have some inside nuggets for us next year. I feel like we might all become big Syracuse fans next year. Good spot for them right here. I think our boy Dino Babers is trying to move rank here. He's trying to hop to another job. We'll see if he gets it. So this is, I think, a statement game for the Orange and Dino. Clemson has not been very good this year in relation to expectations. I really want to pull the trigger on the Orange, but I wish I could get it above 30.
The last 2 years, Syracuse, Clemson. Last year, Clemson 37-27. 2014, Clemson 16-6.
I would love a 66 type of game.
I
That's where
think
the Orange live.
that Florida State Clemson game was one of the better ones of the year last year. I was impressed with Florida State last week, and especially impressed with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, that's your boy. Hopefully the Eagles next year for you.
I lean Syracuse.
I can go on a lean to them.
I think we have a couple leans this week. I think we tweet them out and put them on the blog tomorrow or Saturday morning.
Yep.
Virginia Tech -11 at Duke.
No feel for this game. Duke is one of those teams that I've been wrong on or against a lot this year. You've been pretty sharp on Virginia Tech, so I will side with whatever you like.
How come David Cutcliffe is never mentioned for bigger jobs? I know his age is probably a big factor, but
I think that's why.
for 5 years, would you take David Cutcliffe?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of college coaches that stay beyond that nowadays anyway, so I do think the age is a big deal for universities that are paying that kind of money, but I think he's been really good. Duke should not be even playing football, let alone being competitive and getting decent recruits in football.
Moving along, Baylor -8 versus the Horned Frogs, who have absolutely killed us this year.
I know. I think I'm going back to the well, though. I think I like TCU here.
Does Baylor fold up now that their undefeated season's gone? No bowl game?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed here. I think we'll see a high-scoring game in the 30s, maybe 40s. A little bit of a revenge spot for TCU here. I don't like Baylor's. I just don't like Baylor's whole program. I've tried to fade them the whole year and have lost. I've tried to pay on TCU and we've lost. So I think I'm going to try it one more time to fade Baylor and get on TCU.
I couldn't say it better myself. More info has come out on that Baylor situation. Does Art Briles get another job ever?
What's weird is that I keep seeing his name come up for all of these big openings. I would be shocked if he gets another job in the next 5 years, and I think his age will prevent him from ever getting a big job again. Maybe someone, like the show on ESPN, East Mississippi State, Scuba hires him, someone like that, but I can't see him getting a big job.
No, I don't know how you touch him right now.
Why would you do that?
I don't even know how you interview him.
Right, it would be suicide for the university. I mean, they would get destroyed.
Interesting game. Florida Gators -4.5 at Bielema and the Razorbacks.
I've been on the Razorbacks, so it feels like every week this year. I took a week off the last 2 weeks after they got smoked against Auburn, but I think I'm back on here. I think I like the Razorbacks outright in this matchup.
I was worried that you were going the other way. I absolutely love the Razorbacks this week.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was pretty burned by them when they got smoked. But I needed a week off, and now I'm back on. I'm back on board. I love their rushing attack in this game.
Official?
Plus, Florida can't score, so.
Official?
Yeah, I'm good with that. What are they getting, 4.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's down from 5.5, so the line's going in the correct way as well.
Washington State and the Fighting Leeches -17 versus Arizona.
I want to like the Leeches here, but I haven't been that in tune with them. I know you've backed them a few times, so I think I'm going to defer to you in this one as well.
The Pac-12 is so hard to figure out.
I know.
I don't have a feel on this game. There's way better options on the board.
Yeah, you never know with Rich Rod either.
West Virginia -34.5 coming off their first loss, hosting the Jayhawks.
The Jayhawks still paying coaches. I'm not going to touch this after West Virginia losing last week.
Agree. Washington minus 16.5 at Cal.
Kind of like Cal here. I think this is a little bit of a trap game for Washington. Cal can put up some points, so I lean to all of those points.
I'm with you on Cal. I think last week for Washington was one of the more underrated wins of the year in college. Utah's not an easy place to go and win, and they're physical as hell.
Yeah, I think their defense got beat up pretty good, physically, like you just said. Now they got to go play a team that loves to spread it out. Yeah, 17's a lot, or 16.5, whatever we're at.
Now, they're not the Trojans of old, but USC lurks on deck for Washington. I lean Cal as well.
I mean, USC is playing better ball with the new quarterback situation, so I think it is maybe a little bit of a look ahead.
Official?
I think maybe a lean for me.
All right, we'll talk.
We can discuss in the next couple days.
Last game on the board. The number 12 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions host the Iowa Hawkeyes, 7.5.
I was totally wrong about the Hawkeyes this year. I think both these teams are very similar. It's tough to say, but Iowa, their offense is worse than Penn State's, which is saying something. I love the Barkley kid. I think he's a really good player. I kind of like Penn State, even though I think they should be not even in the top 25.
I was ruined my life too many times. So I'm just going to defer to your thoughts. I do like Penn State at home at night, but...
How many points can Iowa score here, realistically?
Here's the problem that I have is that I was probably going to run flea flickers, reverses, fake punts, almost like Jeff Fisher does once a year. And I think Penn State could fall for a couple of those.
I was impressed with Penn State. I know Purdue stinks, but the game was close for a little while. A little bit of a hangover from Ohio State.
Yes.
They just blew the doors off them.
Yeah.
So I like that they had that game and got that out of their system.
Yeah, I agree. I lean Penn State, but I'm a homer, so.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I like Penn State, but we'll just put it out as a lean since we can't bet on our own teams.
So there we have it. Our officials so far: Louisville minus 25, Kansas State minus 3, Arkansas plus 4.5, and we'll tweet and put on the blog the any other officials and leans.
I like it.
To the NFL, we'll give our season report, our half-season report, guess the lines, but I first have to ask you a question I never thought I would ask in the podcast. Did I really see in Buffalo last week that a dildo was thrown on the field?
You did see that. You were correct. I have to think that Davy Trump is really excited to get up there, become part of the mafia after seeing what's happening at the tailgates.
I have a couple further questions. How does one arrive and say, I'm going to bring a dildo to the game this week and throw it on the field?
I don't know, but I think there's only one logical place to hide it, get through security.
Now, do you think that it was a guy went out and bought a new one, or he took it out of the drawer?
It looks pretty new to me, but it's a way better story if he took it out of a drawer.
Did you see that he wrote Tom Brady's written on it? That's one.
People have nothing better to. They smell what's coming. Winter is coming. They have nothing to do. Like they just have time to think of crap like that.
That is one of the more underrated stories of the year for me.
Yeah, it's a great one. I don't think it got enough press actually by the mainstream.
I agree. Let's go to the half-season report. We did this after 4 weeks. We'll do it after 8 now. Starting the AFC East, we both had the Patriots winning the division. You changing at all on that?
No.
They're 7-1. The Bills are 4-4. Dolphins 3-4. Jets 3-5. Any surprises there?
I I think they're exactly where we thought they were going to be. I know both of us thought the Jets and the Bills' schedule to start the year was really tough, and I think they're actually lucky to be where they are.
Anybody have a chance to make a little run in the second half?
Nope. Nope. There's nothing else to say. I mean, all three teams struggle at quarterback. They struggle to score, and I think all three coaches have work to do to build rosters in the next year or two. Because New England is clearly by far the best roster.
AFC North, we were both on the Bengals. Currently, Steelers 4-3, Bengals 3-4-1, Ravens 3-4, the Browns 0-8.
To me, the surprise is Cincinnati. Their defense looks atrocious. They can't get a pass rush. They can't stop anybody. Their offense, it's pretty similar. I think they're missing Mohamed Sanu a little bit. I know he wasn't great, but he at least took some of the pressure off of A.J. Green. I think now with Tyler Eifert back, maybe that does help a little bit, open it up. I think they can make a run if somehow they tighten up that defense, but Marvin Lewis is gone, I think, if they still make some kind of playoff run.
I continue to go back to the loss of the coordinators he's lost. Granted, he hasn't won a playoff game, but I think that hurts more than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody make a run? It seems like the Steelers treaded enough water without Roethlisberger. It looks like he's going to play this week, which is unbelievable to me.
Shocking.
They the clear favorites?
Pittsburgh's the favorite. Just Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Sammy Coates, they have some weapons. But it has to be up in the air with Ben. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Baltimore.
The Bengals are not as good as I thought they were, so I hesitate to say they're the ones going to make the run, but by default, I guess, because I don't like Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore doesn't have the weapons, but can they make any noise?
I think they're an 8-8 team. If that's noise, then yeah, I guess.
Fair enough. In one of the more interesting divisions, the AFC South, both were on the Texans. They lead at 5-3. Titans 4-4. Colts 3-5. Jags 2-5.
Tough to say there's any surprises because we didn't think this division was very good. I think the surprise probably for both of us is how bad Jacksonville really is.
Can Bortles be salvaged? I know we ask it every week, but can he be?
I saw some tape. So I can't remember what show it was, but it was Jaworski breaking down his throwing motion and basically how much it's deteriorated.
Completely changed.
He's got like a helicopter wind up before he throws. And he's got a good arm, but in the NFL, defensive backs, once they start seeing you look one way, they're already jumping the route. So they can't run the ball. TJ Yeldon, I didn't think he was going to be a starter in the NFL. They tried to pair him with Ivory, but they still can't run the ball. They're not very good. I think Gus Bus is on his way out of town.
Texans the favorite right now?
Yeah, I think so. The Watt injury hurts, but they still have the weapons. If they can ever figure out the quarterback situation with Osweiler, if they can ever get him going, then clearly, I think.
Colts, your evaluation.
I actually think Luck has been pretty good this year. T.Y. Hilton and Moncrief are good weapons on the outside. Frank Gore is ageless. I don't know how he's still playing at 33, and he's playing pretty well. But their defense hasn't been good in 20 years, and their offensive line is not good. So what are they supposed to do? I have no idea how the GM still has a job there.
And lastly, the AFC West. I had the Chiefs. You had the Raiders. Currently, the Raiders are 6-2. The Broncos are 6-2. The Chiefs are 5-2, and the Chargers are 3-5, and could be a whole lot better.
Yeah, this is the best division in football, I think, right?
I would agree.
The Chargers at 3-5 with a completely depleted offense are scary to play. I feel awful for Philip Rivers.
I agree. Um,
yeah, all these teams are really good.
Heard this question the other day. Go back to the Rivers Manning trade. If Rivers is on the Giants, does he win too?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if you can say that. I don't know. It's a good question. The game I always go back to is the Green Bay game where Coughlin's face turned purple and green. Eli Manning was unbelievable in that game.
Yes.
So, it was minus 15 degrees. I'm not sure how Rivers would have performed. I'm sure they would have been contenders. I'll say that. It's hard to say would he have won one.
Who do you give the edge to in this division as we go forward?
I picked the Raiders, and we took the Cubs and we let it ride. But I actually think Denver would be my favorite right now. The Raiders have won by scoring points. I don't think you can keep that up, especially as the calendar continues to turn. I think Denver, by a lot, has the best defense in this division. And I really like this Devontae Booker kid that's about to take over for C.J. Anderson.
How do you feel about the Chiefs, possibly without Alex Smith, Jamal Charles on IR, Spencer Ware, concussion, who knows how long that's going to hold them out. Their defense doesn't look to be the same as last year. Your thoughts?
Well, they haven't had Justin Houston, so you're taking 15 to 20 sacks away. I think that's a huge deal. Andy kind of just pieces it together. There's not a lot of talent on that offense at all. Jeremy Maclin is, at best, the number 2 guy, I think. Travis Kelce is a good pass-catching tight end, but he can't block anybody. They do a really good job of running the ball, kind of game planning. I think this is, if they get to 9-7, 10-6, it's one of Andy's better jobs.
You sticking with the Raiders as your pick?
No, I'm going to switch and go to the Denver Broncos.
As it stands right now, it would be the Patriots, the Raiders, the Texans, the Steelers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. You comfortable with those 6 making it?
I think so, yeah.
Chiefs at 5-2. The Titans would be the next wild card team at 4-4, followed by the Bills at 4-4.
Yeah, obviously the Titans get to play their own division, so they might sneak ahead, but they have some deficiencies that I'm not very comfortable with, and especially a head coach, so I would still lean to the current standings.
Anybody challenge the Patriots?
Come playoff time, yeah, sure. I think Denver definitely could. I think Denver's defense is built to stop almost anybody when it gets to that time of year. They have 2 shutdown corners and they have a pass rush. That is almost impossible to find these days.
Would you trust Trevor Siemian on the road in a playoff game?
Wouldn't trust them, no. I would bet that they won a 13-10 type of game.
Agree.
Only way they can win. They can't get in the shootout with Tom.
We'll move along to the NFC, starting in the West. We both had the Chickens. They lead at 4-2-1. Cards 3-4-1. Rams 3-4. Chip Kelly's 1-6. Any surprises?
Arizona is a little bit of a surprise. I know you were down on them. I don't know if I thought they'd be great again, but I thought they'd be better than what they're showing. David Johnson looks like the only good player on the entire football team on offense.
Your thoughts on the Seahawks?
I think they're in a good spot. I think they've had, especially a running back. I'm not a Christian Michael guy. I thought Thomas Rawls is a much better player. He's just been hurt. I think if they can get him back, the running game will start to chug along a little bit like last year. Russell Wilson getting hurt clearly doesn't help because he can't even move around. That's kind of half of his game. I think they're in a good spot. I think they've kind of weathered the storm, so to say.
Do you think Russell will ever get back to 100% this year?
That would be my main concern. I think if you take away his running dimension, especially on those third downs or late in the fourth quarter, it just feels like such a backbreaker to the other team. I would be hesitant to really get on board with him if he's not healthy.
They're going to hang on and win that division.
I think so, yeah.
I would agree with you. Going to the South, Atlanta 5-3, Tampa Bay 3-4, Saints 3-4, Panthers 2-5. Thoughts?
I thought it would be opposite. So I can't get the Carolina Panthers right. It's been 2 years now.
Anybody make a run?
Well, we tried to lay out Carolina's run, and they're, it looks like maybe they're starting to play better. Don't love all the injuries that the wagon has taken on. They've lost really important personnel, and I will never buy into the Saints being a legit contender. So my gut tells me if Carolina can get to 8-8, then maybe that has a shot, because I still don't believe in Atlanta.
Both Atlanta and the Wagon have tough schedules coming down the stretch. Tonight's a big game.
Yes, I agree. I think tonight is an underrated big game.
NFC North, which has taken a turn the past couple weeks. Minnesota at 5-2, Green Bay 4-3, Lions 4-4, Bears 2-6, Vikings just lose. North Turner resigns. Shermer takes over the play calling duties. I think it may be a little bit of an upgrade for Sam Bradford. Comfortable with Shermer, who called the offense last year.
I think this is an underrated bad division. I don't think any one of these teams, if I had to play them in the playoffs, would scare me at all. Minnesota's defense is good, but they can't score. Green Bay looks like it doesn't really know what it wants to be. They can't run the ball a lick.
They don't have a running
back. We always have concerns about their defense come playoff time. And the Lions and Bears, I just think, are below average team.
Any value on tossing a couple shekels on the Lions to win the division right now?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. You think probably get that at what? It's got to be more than plus 400, I would think.
This is their schedule coming down the stretch. They're at Minnesota this week. Obviously a huge game. Then they get their bye. Coming out of the bye, Jacksonville at home. Minnesota on Thanksgiving at home. At New Orleans. The Bears at home. At the Giants, at Dallas, Green Bay at home.
Those are all winnable games.
The problem I have is Jim Caldwell.
Not being a head coach? Yeah,
He's a
I
loser.
don't like that either. My problem is that they have zero running game. Matthew Stafford has been really good, and with that zero running game, their pass defense is also one of the worst in the league. And they just lost their top corner, Darius Slay. So I think they're going to be taking on some water. If you want to make that bet at 8-8, I mean, I think that's gettable.
How scared are you as a Vikings fan with that offensive line?
I mean, I would be concerned that they only win one or two more games this year. I think it's that bad. Talk about not being able to do anything. They can't run it or throw it. So when you can't do either one of those, it's tough to win.
Any word on Peterson coming back?
I have not heard anything. I don't think his status has changed. I would be shocked, though, in like 2 weeks if you see him running on the sideline.
I know the question was posed earlier this year before the season. Which is more likely? I'm going to bring it up again. Sam Bradford gets hurt, or the Packers bring back James Jones?
I just think it's pretty even, actually. I think the James Jones thing might be a slight favorite right now.
As hard as it is to believe, I think you're right.
I was totally against it, but all of a sudden they're starting to, guys are just dropping like flies.
They have Indianapolis at home this week, Green Bay, and then 3 straight road games at Tennessee, at the Hearts, at the Eagles.
Season-defining road trip right there.
Home games.
Their season will be won or lost for those 3 games.
The home games that follow are the Texans, which probably is a W in Green Bay. Seattle comes to town then at Chicago, Minnesota at home, at the Lions to end the year.
See, they get 2 they get to should-win games to end the year. I still think they win the division because of those 2 games.
And then to the NFC East, we both like the Hearts. Cowboys 6-1, Giants 4-3, Birds 4-3, Hearts 4-3-1.
That was a tough tie for the Hearts this past week for the division. They should have won that game. They should have won by double digits.
How many times do we have to come on this podcast, and how many times does a coach have to see to stop playing for a damn field goal and go for the touchdown?
I don't know. There was so much time left, too, and they had a second and short, and they didn't really try a play, and then they dove to the middle of the field. They could have scored a touchdown, no problem.
Especially the way the Bengals defense was playing.
Yeah, they were gassed. I think there's probably some hesitation with Kirk throwing it in the red zone still. He does like to make the mistake, so I'm assuming that's why, but I think they were running the ball effectively enough where you could have at least gotten creative with the run game and tried to score.
Anybody catch the Cowboys?
I still don't believe in the Cowboys. Maybe I'm just being naive, but yeah, I think all 3 teams have a chance to win the division still that are chasing them.
I know Jason Garrett's getting a ton of credit this week, but I thought he did a fucking piss poor job of play calling last week.
I still can't believe the Eagles lost, to be honest.
I know.
I thought Dak was atrocious. He made 2 good throws out of 25. Like atrocious, not starter level in the NFL type of atrocious. Zeke basically won them that game, I guess you could say.
I will say this. I hate Ezekiel Elliott. I hated him at Ohio State. I hate him as a Cowboy. He is strong as hell.
He's good as shit.
He's fast.
He's really good and sneaky fast, too.
He's fast, but I was so impressed with how he carries 2 or 3 guys to finish a play.
Yeah, he's built very well.
As it stands right now, your playoff teams: Cowboys, 1 seed; Vikings, Seahawks, Falcons, Packers, Giants, wild card chasers: Eagles, Hearts, Lions. They're 4-3, 4-3-1, and 4-4. And then your 3 and 4 teams: Cards 3-4-1, Rams 3-4, Bucks 3-4, Saints 3-4. A lot of teams still alive. 13 teams still alive in the NFC, in my eyes.
Yeah. I don't think anything has been decided, really. Wide open on this side.
So this week, guess the lines. We're tied 3-3-1 on the year. If there were odds this week, you would have been a heavy favorite. I had a major hangover from that Eagles game, and the score this week reflects it.
Clouded your judgment.
Atlanta at Tampa Bay tonight. I said Bucks -1.
Wait, what?
I told you I had a hangover.
Atlanta 4.5.
It opened Atlanta 2. Currently Atlanta 4.
Oh, wow. I like that you're still a believer in the wagon.
I will never get off this wagon.
I think Atlanta is the better team, clearly on offense. I don't love this spot for them, though. They're a heavy public favorite right now, which I despise going on the road. The Bucs just aren't that good. They can't run the ball. Jacquizz Rodgers is officially out, so they're going running back, 4th-string running back by committee. Mike Evans is really Jameis's only weapon out there. I worry about them being able to score tonight.
Over under 51. Under looks pretty tasty.
Thursday night. Always play the under on Thursday night.
This seems like, on paper, a game where it's 30-30. But with all the injuries mentioned, Atlanta, tough game last week against Green Bay. I think this is an under.
Tevin Coleman out as well, I think, for Atlanta. Or at least he's a game-time decision, so that would be another weapon down.
Tampa Bay won this matchup earlier this year. It would seem like Atlanta should win this based on what happened earlier, but coming off that Green Bay game, I lean Tampa with the points.
hard to beat a divisional team twice in 1 year. I have no lean here, actually. I don't like either side.
Yeah, I would not recommend the play, but I would lean Tampa in the under if I had to make one.
The under would be my forced play here.
Sunday at Arrowhead. Nick Foles in, Alex Smith out. Kansas City hosts Jacksonville. I said Kansas City 6.5.
I said 7.5.
You got this one. Opened 8, down to 7.5.
I want to lean Kansas City, but with Spencer Ware highly questionable and Alex Smith out, I don't think that's the play. The Jags just stink, though. Man. There is part of me, the rational part of me, that says that the Jags got blown out on national TV last week. This is probably a good spot for them to at least cover, maybe a backdoor cover, especially over a touchdown. I do like Nick Foles in this game. I think he puts up really good numbers.
Here's the issue for the Jags. They fire their offensive coordinator and promote the quarterback coach.
Yeah, with the quarterback's the whole problem. I have a hard time backing a team that I've watched, and they're really bad. Watched them a couple times now, but just as a purely numbers standpoint, and the Jags would be my lean.
I
could never do it, though.
This could be a spot for a Kansas City teaser.
Yes, totally agree.
Detroit at Minnesota. I said Minnesota 4.5.
I said 7.5.
You get this one. It's open 7, down to 5.5.
Wow, 5.5. So we're talking about a 1.5 swing there. I'm showing Detroit actually as the public team, which is interesting. So the line is moving in the right direction, not a Fletch game. I want to lean Detroit, but man, now that I see the public on them, it's kind of weird.
I'm completely baffled. I have no idea what to expect out of the Minnesota O-line.
Detroit's defense isn't very good. In division game, though, I usually like the points here, but yeah, I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, I have no feel.
Yeah, I don't either.
Eagles go to the Giants. I said Giants 3.
I said Giants 1.
Open 2, currently 2.5. We tie that one.
This is your team, so I will let you handle this. I kind of like the Eagles, though.
No idea what to think, how they respond to last week. Doug Peterson was atrocious in the fourth quarter.
He was terrible.
I have no idea. I can't even think what he was thinking. I have no clue.
There was a very scared play calling display, I thought.
Horrendous.
I'm not sure what he was worried about, but maybe the Minnesota game got him rattled. I don't know, but I have my seller on the New York Giants, so I'm taking points in a division game where I think both teams are pretty equal.
I mean, the NFC's wide open, but the Eagles are clearly not a Super Bowl team. But This ranks up there as hard as a playoff loss. What happened Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah, they should have won the game.
I have no idea how they respond, so I have no feel.
Gotcha. I would lean Philly.
The Sunday night winner, Dallas, goes to the Browns. I said Dallas 8.
Said Dallas 6.
Open 7, currently 7, another tie.
83% of current bets are on the Dallas Cowboys here. I like the Cleveland Browns.
One other bright spot I thought from Sunday night, and I have no idea how much longer he'll stay healthy, but Sean Lee was all over the field.
Yeah, he's very good. He's basically a mini Luke Kuechly, especially sniffing out, diagnosing plays. But, yeah, like you said, he just can't put a full season together.
I also lean the Cleveland Browns.
Big injuries for Dallas. Mo Claiborne out 3 to 4 weeks with sports hernia. Barry Church out 3 to 5 weeks with a broken arm. Those are two of their best secondary players. Orlando Scandrick looked okay coming back from 2 hamstring injuries. I think the Browns' offense has actually been fairly decent. McCown threw it around pretty well last week against the Jets. Duke Johnson, Isaiah Crowell are no slouches in the backfield, so I like this spot for the Browns.
Dallas goes to Pittsburgh next week.
Oh yeah,
Prime sandwich spot.
Oh yeah, I'm all in on the official with the X-Wagon.
I also like an official. Are you ready to pull it, or do we wait to see if we can get the hook?
I'm ready.
The Browns +7.
I'll buy a hook if I have to.
To South Florida, the Dolphins hosting the Jets. I said Dolphins -2.
I gave them the full field goal.
You got it exactly. Open 3 up to 3.5.
Oof, don't like it at 3.5. I was gonna lean Dolphins at 3, but don't like it at that. Giving more than that, they're not good enough to be given a hook.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I could play the Jets in this game, though. I think it's just a prime stay away.
Chance. They were awful against Cleveland in the first half last week.
Interesting game in Baltimore. It appears Roethlisberger is going to play.
I don't know how that's possible.
I just kind of picked the line out of the air. I said Pittsburgh -1.
I had no Ben written down, so I said the Ravens -3, which is probably going to make me look foolish.
You got it. It opened 2.5, still 2.5.
Even with Ben?
I think the books are waiting for an official.
Yeah, so I can't really have a feel for this game until I know if Ben's going to play. I think it makes a huge difference. Slater Jones is okay. He's, whatever. But Ben, obviously, totally different dimension if he plays.
If he plays, do you have a lean?
If he plays and you're giving me 2.5, then yeah, I lean Pittsburgh.
Without Ben.
Without Ben, no, I do not have a lean. I don't think Baltimore is very good, but I also am not a buyer in Pittsburgh's defense. I think Baltimore would actually have a good chance of winning that game without Ben. So I guess I would lean Baltimore, but I wouldn't feel great about it.
To San Francisco, the Saints come to town. I said Saints 5.
I said Saints 2.5.
Open Saints 3. Currently Saints 3.5. You got this, and are currently pitching a no-hitter.
Is Chip Kelly on the hot seat?
Everything I read says that the 49ers brass have his back. I still don't know how you're not tempted to go back to college with LSU likely to be open. I think Texas is going to be open. Oregon, I mean, if I'm Phil Knight, I go to Chip Kelly with a blank check. UCLA may be open. I'm sure there's probably going to be
one for Chip, I think.
There may be one or two others that are, I mean, if Oklahoma stumbles again, maybe Stoops. I don't know.
Yeah, good point. This game, almost 90% of bets on the Saints, which you hardly ever see. So, I know it's a short line, but that would scare me away from the Saints, even though they're clearly the better team.
I want to lean the 49ers. I think Kaepernick could have a good day against this Saints defense. But I would never be able to sit and watch this game with my money on the Niners.
Purely from a numbers standpoint, I want to back San Fran. I just can't do it. Carlos Hyde, a game-time decision, it looks like.
Staying in California, the Rams host the Panthers. I said Panthers -2.
I said Panthers 4.5.
I got this exactly to break up the no-no. It opened 2. It is currently 3.
I like Carolina here. I know the small road favorite isn't a good spot, but I don't think LA is a good team. I just think purely matchup, you line up guys, they kind of play in a similar fashion. I think Carolina is far superior talent on both sides of the ball. I think this is a good spot for Carolina.
Carolina, tough game last week that they needed to win against Arizona. They go to LA this week and then back home for Kansas City and New Orleans. I think it's a tough spot. I liked the Rams all week. I think this is a game that you see, as I mentioned earlier, Jeff Fisher pull out all kinds of stops. But I don't think I can back the Rams.
Yeah, I see where you're going with liking them. I'm looking at it, and I just don't. It just feels like Carolina's about to get on a little mini run here to me. This is a must-win game, obviously, for them.
Traditionally, other than last year, Ron Rivera has gotten off to horrendous starts.
Yeah.
And they catch their stride at the end of the year. So maybe last week does change the tide. I could see us being on Carolina official come Sunday.
I'm already there.
I need another day to stew it over.
All right. I just think we're in a must-win situation for their season. I think that division is still kind of dangling out there for them.
Especially if the wagon finds a way tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The Colts go to Green Bay. I said Green Bay 4.5.
I said Green Bay 7.
You got it. 6.5 open, up to 7.
I don't know what to like here. I actually think Luck could put up some points in this game. But Indy's defense and offensive line on the road, I just don't see how they can win.
This seems like Andy Luck backdoor.
Yes, exactly. He loves that door, too.
He's so good in the fourth quarter putting up fantasy numbers.
Yeah, I wish it was 7.5 so we could jump on Indy. Maybe we wait and see if it creeps up there.
I would agree. Back to California, the Titans go to San Diego. I said San Diego 4.5.
I said 5.
You got it. It opened 5.5. Currently 5.
No man's land. I think this is an interesting matchup. I think the line is probably correct. I don't like Tennessee on the road. They are going to try to pound it down San Diego's throat, but San Diego's been pretty decent against the run. Bosa has been really good since making his debut. No feel for me on this one.
I'm glad you brought that up. I made a note earlier this week to ask you about Bosa and forgot about it. If Bosa plays those first couple weeks, their record is better than 3-5, I think.
Probably one game at least.
He has been a difference maker. I was completely wrong about him.
So was I. I didn't think he was athletic enough to get around the edges. I thought he would be more of a Ryan Kerrigan at best. But he is dominant so far, both in rushing the passer and stopping the run.
Other than Von Miller, I know that it's only been a couple games. Is he the most dominant defensive player in the division?
In the division? If we're drafting today, I'd probably still take Justin Houston over him. He hasn't played, though, so, yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's close now. I think he's already put his name in that discussion.
Any lean here?
No, not for me. Not sure where to go.
Speaking of the AFC West, I had no lean on that game either. Sunday night, good one from the Black Hole. Denver comes to town. I said Oakland -2.
I said Denver -1.
Open pick, still a pick.
I like Denver here, actually. I just think their defense is good. This is one of those games where nationally televised. Everyone thinks Oakland's the next best thing or the best thing going now. Derek Carr's getting some MVP love. I think Denver's D makes a statement here.
I'm just trying to see what...
I actually really like Denver at this spot. It's one of my favorite plays of the week.
Oakland had 2 straight road games in Florida. I believe they stayed in Florida for those 2 weeks. Now back home. I am also with you. I love Denver in this spot. And I think
Oakland's
it's an official.
offense is a little bit smoke and mirrors. They throw the ball around very well. They have 2 really good receivers. They struggle to run the ball. And Denver has 2 really good corners. So if they had a tight end or someone that was dynamic, maybe I would be more on Oakland, but I think Denver is just built for this type of game.
They have not had a ton of home games, but they haven't been a great home team thus far. I love Denver.
I'm on official Denver.
Denver pick official.
Yeah.
Conclude Monday night in Seattle. They host Buffalo. I said 7.5.
I said 8.
Open 5.5 up to 7. I get this one, but you dominate the week 9-2-1. Take the season lead 4-3-1.
Did you blame your Philadelphia Eagles for this again? For those who got that 5.5, congratulations. That's free money there. I'm not going to lay that many points, but I like Seattle. I think it's a tough road trip for Buffalo. They're going to have to put up some tricks. Tyrod Taylor's going to have to use his legs because defensively, Seattle is probably going to let their corner sit on an island since Buffalo has no one playing wide receiver right now. They signed Percy Harvin, which all you need to know about their current situation. So that box is going to be loaded against Tyrod Taylor.
Agree. Are you hearing anything about Shady? I'm not hearing either way.
No, questionable last I saw. It seems like they're keeping it under wraps this week. Maybe it's because it's a Monday night game, big game for them. I don't know.
Any hesitation with Seattle going to New England next week?
Oh, that's an interesting look-ahead spot. Yeah, I guess a little bit, now that you bring that up.
Kansas City -1.5, Seattle -1. Any interest in that tease?
I think so, yeah. Is there any hesitation from Nick Foles? If Spencer Ware is out, I think I do have some hesitation.
All right, well, we'll hold off on a couple other plays. Right now we have Cleveland +7, Denver a pick.
I think I'd be more interested in a Colts Chickens teaser, maybe.
All right, we have a couple days to talk about it, see how the lines move, see how the injuries progress.
Yep.
Last thing. Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, first matchup tonight. I'm seeing Warriors -11. Your thoughts?
We chatted a little last night about this. I think the Warriors win by 40, or it's an outright upset. I don't think there's any in between. If you made the line 2, I wouldn't be comfortable. If you made it 22, I wouldn't be comfortable.
I looked very hard.
Gets his 45 or 50, whatever he's going to get. I think he misses a bunch of shots early, though.
I looked very hard for Westbrook props. They may come out later. But if I told you 34 shots tonight, over under.
34? I think I would go under.
If the line dropped to 31.
Oh, I will say under still, actually.
28.
Over. I think I'm in that zone right there. You just found my zone.
37.5 points tonight.
Oh, man. Do the Warriors stick Clay on him?
I think they have to.
Yeah, I actually am going to go under here because I bet there's some value on that.
7.5 turnovers, over under.
That's a good one. That's a good number. I like it right on it. Can I bet 7?
Who scores more, Westbrook or Durant?
I'll say Westbrook because I think the Warriors just have too many guys that score.
Anything else?
So Durant is a bad matchup for the Warriors. I mean the Thunder.
Who has to have a big game tonight for Oklahoma City to win this?
I think they got to keep it low scoring, obviously, but I think it's the big boys down low, the Cantor, the Adams. I think they're the ones that have to dominate the boards, and somebody put up a 20-point game, maybe.
It'll be interesting to see. I think Jeremy Grant could have an impact tonight playing defense.
He actually don't mind him on Steph Curry.
Interesting.
You know?
Then who's Westbrook going to play?
I don't know, but
Because they'll take him down the post, I think.
that's true. That's a good point. I guess he'd be on Clay. I don't know if I like that much though.
I like Oladipo on Clay.
Oladipo was shorter than I thought. I saw that he was listed at 6'2.5", which I thought he was more like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Oladipo's a weird one for me. I love his talent, but he has not lived up to it.
NBA preview tomorrow, so we'll have this to talk about, plus the rest of the year. We'll go over the predictions we made. Anything else you want to add to this podcast?
Nope. I think I'm good for this one.
Great job by you today.
Tip of the cap to the host.
Talk to you tomorrow.
See you, buddy.
See you.